Peace, peace. Welcome to the very first episode of the Rising Cream podcast. I'm your host, Jahad Messiah Youssef. We're going to have very unpopular conversations for the young, confused mind. And like I've always said, we bring it sexy back to the everyday men and women who work hard to impact our lives within close proximity. Nothing has ever changed, and I want to support everybody who's been supporting the show for 2 years. And I know people are asking about why the name changed. Well, I'll explain that in another episode. Right now, that's irrelevant to the point. But before I really get into the spiel of this episode, first of all, I want to give a shout out to two people. I want to give a shout out to my coworker, Justin, who just recently lost his mother. You have my deepest sympathies and my condolences. And I also want to send a shout out all the way back home to East St. Louis to my good brother, Mark Howlett, who just tragically lost his daughter. Brother, I can't express, I have no idea or imagination what you're going through, but I can only express my condolences, my deepest sympathy. I look at you like, people, you're a good person. And so nobody wants to really see a child go. So, man, I just want to dedicate this episode to you all, and I pray that God give you peace. The Rising Cream, the planet of the earth, right? When I was in the 5% Nation, and this is not a pro 5% episode, but when I was in the 5% Nation, I had to study all of 120 to earn my flag, to be examined by my educator, not my enlightener. Once I got my flag and once I acknowledged 120, but when I was going through the study process, there were certain lessons in 120 that really resonated with me. Like the build, destroy degree in the 1 through 14, that was a lesson that resonated with me. The build, destroy, the wisdom, build, destroy, and what they call the milk and honey through the 1 through 40 was another lesson that impacted me that I could really build upon and show people some things, or like the knowledge cipher degree in the 1 through 14. But the degree that it starts off is the knowledge degree, which is 1. The supreme mathematics knowledge is 1. That lesson asks the question, who is the original man? The answer, the original man is the Asiatic black man. He is the maker, the owner, cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. Now, I will never make the mistake of not understanding that all men of all ethnic groups are dealing with issues and dealing with problems. But when it comes to the edge of the black man, we deal with a unique situation that pretty much entails systemic hindrance, systemic obstacles, and things that we're trying to do. A good brother of mine, his name is Unapologetic. You can find him on Clubhouse. You can also find him on Fanbase. He says racism, a lot of times, economics is tied to legislation. And we can say that in all 9 areas of people activity. But what I had to do, I had to get back to being who I was as an individual. A lot of you that have been following me for 2 years, first of all, I thank you for your support. Hey, like, share, and subscribe, and always tell a problem solver to come on in. But if you've been following the show for 2 years, my topics have ranged from everything to relationships, politics, sports, questions about religion and God. But a lot of times I try to dummy it down. But I realized in our reality, I can no longer do that. And I refuse to do that. I have to perform and carry out the mission that was given to me, the things that I see clearly and what I understand more than anything else in my life is the system of white supremacy racism that has impacted all non-white people in all 9 areas of people activity, which is economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religious, sex, and war. But now, I don't want to highlight so much as talking about racism. I want to talk about what people are dealing with within close proximity in their very own lives. Listen, I'm champion for you. One of the biggest epidemics that people do not talk about is the epidemic of loneliness. And a lot of times when you set out to achieve a goal, whether it's to graduate from college, whether it's to start a business, whatever it is that you want to do, we're met with opposition, especially when you're a black and you're trying to do a business, especially as black men. A lot of people are dealing with medical issues. A lot of people are dealing with spousal issues. A lot of people are dealing with career issues. But what I'm trying to tell you is that no matter what you go through, you're supposed to go through it. Why not you? The only way that you can become the individual that you are, it's almost like basic training when you go to the military. You have to go through obstacles to develop the strength. And also, you have to go through obstacles to also develop the mental strength. Now, a lot of things that I'm saying right now is not really telling people much. I'm not kind of really preaching to the choir to a lot of people. But let me explain to you about that lesson and what I resonated in it. A lot of times when I go to rallies and I go to the parliaments and we go to study, man, some of the guys on earth, man, they really swift. They really swift and they just flow through these lessons and they build through supreme mathematics. But the one thing that I understood when it said was the cream of the planet Earth. I can recall with my son, when he was out in Douglas County, nobody really looked upon him as the athlete that he truly was. I didn't respond in anger. I didn't deal with the coaches. He was denied moving up to JV after the freshman season. He had all the leading scoring and he had all the numbers to do it. He was denied every time when he played football out there. Every time he get the team from the 1 yard line or in their very own end zone, right into the red zone, and every time he was pulled out. And I seen his frustration. But what happened was I had to make a decision to put my son in a better situation. But I told him the accountability was on him to achieve. And when we went to another school system in another county, in another district, the very same thing that we anticipated to happen, it did not happen. Actually, the opposite happened. And my son excelled and eventually made it to the college ranks. While at the same time, he was recognized of the prior situation, right? And people had even reached out to apologize. But I'm saying that situation to say that he was the cream that's going to rise to the top. When you look at the story of a player like Ja Morant, who is one of the superstars in the NBA league, right? Yeah, we know he had issues on social media, brandishing out, pulling out firearms. Hey, young guys make those type of mistakes. But a coach simply stuck his head in the gym and saw Ja Morant performing. Now, let's just say if Ja Morant was just going lackluster that day, he didn't really want to play, he wasn't playing up to par, that coach would have probably never took him serious, but he saw something in him because he believed in himself. The cream is going to always rise to the top. Or I look at my very own mother. Back in 85, she had an aneurysm, one of the most massive strokes that anybody can have. It left her partially paralyzed, her speech impediments. But after that, my mother had my youngest brother. She was able to get back out in society and function and move on her own, drive a car. She's able to walk. She's not really restricted to anything. Now, I don't liken her situation to everybody's situation, for there are some people who have suffered strokes that have left them severely medically dependent. And I apologize. I don't apologize, but I'm sorry that situation is. So everybody's situation is different. So I want to make sure that when I'm speaking about these points, that I'm sensitive to everybody's situation. However, if you fast forward to today, a lot of the functionality and things that my mom performs, you probably could never tell she had a stroke unless you really talk to her. But my mother never really gave up on herself. Although she did have a lot of doubt, she did go through a lot of depression. But the cream is still going to rise to the top. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or let's just look at a lot of your own personal situations and everything that we have been through in this country as Black people when we came out of chattel slavery in 1865. And then they came up with the black codes. And then we had Jim Crow. And then we went through the civil rights movements, right? No matter what they have done to us, whether it was physical, whether it was something dealing with the government, whether it was always systemic, or whatever the case may be, whether it's gentrification, redlining, discrimination on jobs, not proper education in schools, tampering with the foods, building power lines and cell phone towers in Black neighborhoods, running highways through for specific certain reasons. The cream of our people, the soul and the heartbeat of a nation of a people, has never stopped us from rising to the top. And in my own situation, when I first started dealing with child support years ago, I was broke, didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I was living with my girlfriend, you know what I'm saying, my ex of 14 years. But my name wasn't on the lease or anything. I was basically homeless, right? I never knew that I would get myself out of that situation. But again, I never gave up on myself because I'm cream of the planet Earth, and I rose back to the top. Or when it comes to getting back in shape. You know, a buddy of mine told me years ago when I was kind of depressed and eating. A lot of people have never really seen me fat and big and chubby, but I've been there before. He told me, he said, you got the mind of God, but the body of a nigga. And that resonated with me. And when I hit the gym the very next day, I started to work on my core. I started doing more cardio. I started hitting the weights, and I started getting back into who I need to be as an individual and who I've always been. But at the end of the day, I had to walk that journey alone because why? The cream is going to always rise to the top. So my point that I'm making to you all is that you are the cream that is going to rise back to the top. Now, whatever your situation may be, whatever you're going through, right? Just simply take this as encouragement. I'm not telling you that the situation can get better or worse overnight, but embrace it. Evolve. And I don't really like to tell people to heal. You know, I don't want to, because everybody don't need to heal. Everybody's not healing, right? It's almost like a catch thing now. You know what I'm saying? You need to heal. We need to do, no. Just continue to be you and continue to rise to the top. I got great guests lined up for this episode for this year. This lineup is going to be great. I have teachers coming on. I have coaches coming on, politicians coming on. And now I will be presenting most episodes to you all remotely. And we'll be doing in-studio interviews. Now I'm rooting for everybody, man, and I'm starting out. I don't really like to do the New Year's resolution thing because I'm just gonna take life every day at a time. But I'm getting to where I need to be. But it's always about constant elevation, constant self-improvement. And whatever you're dealing with, I would like to hear your story. Put it down in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you went through. Let me know how you came to the top. Because listen, once you come out of that adversity, man, I'm telling you, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Just ask a college student, man, that been in school, that went through all the BS, had to go through all the obstacles, family not supporting, sometimes not getting financial aid, having to work a job. Ask them how they feel the day they walk across the stage, right? Or you get that job that you work so hard for, right? You know what I'm saying? Ask that person how that first check looked, that they was looking to get that amount of wages or whatever. I know some people say a job ain't a blessing. Listen, any type of income or anything that's positive in life is a blessing, right? But let me say this. I really think people just really need to worry about your own personal life. This is why I say this. Because, man, when I look at social media, man, I see so much trauma dumping. And you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I'm guilty of getting out there, running my mouth, saying certain things. But, like, man, who cares what an individual believes in? You know what I'm saying? Who cares if a person reads the Quran? Who cares if a person reads the Bible? Who cares if a person is gay or straight? That's like low frequency energy. The only thing that I say that you need to care about is yourself and becoming the best person that you can be. I know people that don't like homosexuals and lesbians, right? Well, guess what? Do you realize a lot of time when you go to the doctor's office or you lay on the operating table, what you gonna tell them? You don't want them to cut on you or operate on you because they're gay? You know what I'm saying? Or you gonna tell a person because they don't believe in God and they're not good enough to perform a service that can help and benefit you? What I'm trying to get us to understand is getting back to operating in full human capacity. Because at the end of the day, the cream is still gonna rise to the top. So let that be something to encourage you, because whatever you're going through, you're eventually going to rise back to the top. But at the end of the day, make sure that you learn everything and every lesson and that you grew as a person before that process has completed itself. And I want to give a shout out to my homeboy back home. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Urban Conversions. You know, he's another brother that went through it. We went to Normandy Senior High School together. He recently released his book. Put it down. I'm going to put the link down in the comment sections. You all go and support my brother. He talks about his journey, come from school. I believe that he, you know, had to do a little time, was in the streets. But his name is Urban Conversions. You can find him on YouTube, and you can find him also on Facebook. His book is just released. I support him. I can't wait to really dive into this book. Brother, I am proud of you. Keep doing your thing. Also, I have my own project. So if you have not ordered your copy today, Empowering the Perfect You, self-improvement tips for black men in the era of rejected masculinity, do this today. So we don't have no more Travis Hunt. Hey, listen, you know what? Let me say two things about that situation. First of all, I want to apologize because I shouldn't be worried about whether that boy want to marry that girl or not. You know what I'm saying? If she's for the streets, he'll find out. If not, we could all be wrong, and them two people could be together for like 30 years. And I also think that Deion Sanders, at first, I wasn't, I was with the debacle about the Jackson State thing. But the one thing about me, I'm a black fatherhood enthusiast, right? I'm a black father enthusiast. I think what Deion, a lot of people are missing with Deion Sanders is that he is a hell of a father, and he did what's best for his son. And look, I salute brother Deion for that, because a lot of times we look at the sports aspect, we look at everything that comes with prime time. But listen, there's only one prime time, and Deion fit that bill. Regardless of how you like him, right, wrong, or indifferent, he was and is who he is. I wish him the best of luck as well as his sons. And I wish you and your family and all the household the best of year. Listen, Dirty Red, listen, I'm coming with it. You either coming with me or you're not. Lastly, man, like I said, if you like the content that I share on this channel, man, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a problem solver to come on in, man. And please, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe. Let's get the algorithm up, man. Once I get to a certain amount, there's other things that I can do. And I appreciate the support, man. And I look forward to seeing everybody, man, this year. May God bless you. May you become more prosperous. May you become more meaningful in your relationships. Self-improvement. Help us to raise our children better. Let's deal with these youth, right? Because it's easy to criticize. And look, man, I always say, man, the biggest mistake that you can make in life is to think that you have time. Peace.